Hey everyone, I'm Amy Brooks, and this is The Intuitive Rising. And I'm here today to talk about something that I've been learning a lot about lately and that has dramatically changed my life, really. And that is about our thoughts and the role of our thoughts and the role of our emotions, and really what we're supposed to do with all that and how it can impact us and kind of potentially hold us back from really what we're here to do here on the earth plane. So one of my very favorite books in general, which is saying something because I am a voracious reader, but one of my very favorite books in general, but also in the spiritual genre, is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. So if you are in my community or follower of mine, you will know that I refer to this book quite often. I'm currently now, this is May 2022, currently reading his newest book, which is called Living Untethered. So I'm sure I'll make a video about some of the insights that I have come to from that book in time. But for now, I'm going to kind of talk about I'm basing this kind of knowledge on the untethered truth, but as always, I always am somebody that I don't just take straight facts as being, the truth or somebody's opinion as being the truth. I am somebody that has learned to really discern. So I, will read and be open to all different types of information, but then I take the time to kind of ask myself and sit with it. Does this seem like truth to me? Does this feel right to me? And so the information that's come through from the Untethered Soul absolutely feels right to me and feels like truth to me. And like I said, I've had quite dramatic mindset shifts and changes since I have read that book a few years ago. So let's talk a little bit about kind of thought and emotion and the role. Okay. And this is like my personal spin. It's not like I'm taking it verbatim from the book, my interpretation of the book. There's a question that he asks in this novel, and it is, are you your thoughts and your emotions? And most of us might go, well, yeah, I am. Like, I'm actively thinking them, or I am feeling them. Okay, but then who is it that's observing it? Who's hearing them? Who's feeling it? Could it be that you are observing and witnessing thoughts and emotions? And that question alone kind of sent me down the rabbit hole, thinking about that, like, I never thought about that before. So something that I have got into the habit of doing is, when I have kind of invasive thoughts or anxious thoughts, or my ego comes in, it's like, that person doesn't like you, or you can't do this, you're not worthy about it, whatever it is. We all have these like human thoughts. It's really universal that we do, and this work has really provided me evidence of the fact that we all have those thoughts, even if we don't talk about them. And something that has been really freeing for me is to think about those thoughts, those emotions, as somebody else's. So this is an interesting concept, but also a little bit hard to explain. So I'll just give you this example. You're on the bus, the subway, whatever it is, and there's people in front of you that are kind of like gossiping, talking crap, like whatever it is they're doing, just negative kind of talk. And you're listening to it. Now, you have a choice. You can insert yourself in that conversation. You can get offended by what they're saying. You can take things personal. You can kind of get caught up in it and then all of a sudden become in an argument that really had nothing to do with you. Or you can sit back and observe, just watching the show, just listening, just observing, not taking anything personal, not internalizing anything, not interjecting anything. And so what if we thought of us, who we really are underneath it all, the soul of us, as that observer on the bus? What if we're just like along for the ride? We're here to observe. We're here to learn from, but we're also here to, not get caught up in all of this outside stuff all the time. Because it's just, if you think about life kind of just as like a movie, right? Just a show that you're observing, that you're watching. You get to choose if you want to interact with that or not. So next time you have an invasive kind of thought, think about it that way. Who is the one hearing this invasive thought? This invasive thought is outside of me. It's just a thought. It's not my reality. It doesn't hold any weight. It doesn't hold any meaning or value. It actually is not a reflection of me. I'm observing somebody else's gossip. So you can see how if you get in the habit of thinking about it that way, that it potentially could be very life-changing, because you no longer would take all of those thoughts as face value. Like those negative thoughts is what I mean to say, or the ones that belittle you or make you feel different or not good enough. You'd start to go, okay, like that's just something I'm hearing. I'm just observing that, but that's not me. I'm the one that's hearing it, not the one that's thinking it, not the one that's saying it. Therefore, I don't need to feel it. A little bit about emotions as well before I leave you for today. Our emotions are messengers. Emotions are trying to tell us something. So when we're feeling a certain emotion, when we're feeling sadness, when we're feeling like we're stuck, when we're feeling frustration, or even joy, there is a message in that emotion. And when we think about the more positive emotions like joy and happiness and excitement, we have attached our own preference, right? Like, so our natural preference obviously is to the more positive emotions. And so when our outside reality matches up with that emotion that we're feeling, well, life's great. Life's wonderful. We must be doing something right, right? But when the emotion is something that is not as positive, maybe it's envy, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's rage, maybe it's frustration, that doesn't align with our preference of wanting to feel good and positive all the time. So we get overwhelmed with the emotion, we internalize the emotion, we critique and judge and all of these things. We allow that emotion to become us. We think that emotion is a reflection of us. What if we thought about emotions as simply like stored energy in our bodies, whether from this lifetime, from previous lifetimes, from your ancestral line? I know many of us can see how things kind of run through our families, certain mindsets or challenges or whatever it is, and that's something that we would say runs in the ancestral line. So it's an inherited behavior or mindset, but it's also something that you've learned and you've seen and you've kind of been conditioned to. So what if all of these little emotions are like stored data, stored cells, stored energy, and they really have nothing to do with you, who you are? They're just in there and they just want to be heard. They have a message and they just want to be let out. Every time we try to run away or numb an emotion, we actually stuff it down. Think about that, like visually. An emotion like, say, rage. It wants to come out. It wants to come out. It's like, I'm trying to tell you something about this. I'm trying to teach you something about this. Maybe it's you're feeling rage because you're in a situation that's totally wrong for you, and your soul is literally screaming at you to get out of the situation. What if we thought about things like that, like intuition, like thoughts, like emotions as guidance sometimes? I want to say more emotions than thoughts, because thoughts feel a little bit more separate to me. But what if we thought about those emotions simply as guidance, right? Like, yeah, like this is making you feel ragey. Why? It's not a reflection of you. Remember, you're observing it. But why? What can you do about your situation? Sometimes, especially us sensitive folk, which you probably are if you're watching this, are receivers of the collective energy. So we're extra sensitive to what's happening, whether it's in the planets, the cosmos, or with, our fellow people all around. And so we are picking up on that energy like a little sponge. And then we feel overwhelmed and anxious, and we internalize it, and we think there's something wrong with us. What if you thought of yourself as a radio? The radio is just the vehicle for which the frequencies, the music plays from. It's not creating the music. It's not like sitting there internalizing the music. It's not judging itself because of what kind of music is playing, right? It's simply allowing the music to flow through it. So I want to give you that as well. If you're feeling heavy emotionally, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you've kind of sat with the emotion, you've allowed the message to come through, and maybe there's little tiny baby steps of things that you can change in your life currently. However, you're still feeling overwhelmed. Check in with the kind of the universal energy, right? Sometimes I will feel that way, and I'll kind of go through all the steps, and I'll be like, is this bothering me? Is this happening? No, like, is this? And like, I kind of come to the realization, okay, like this time, this overwhelm really has nothing to do with me. I am just that sponge, that energetic sponge that is picking up on the universal kind of upheaval. And I just literally need it to allow it to move through me without internalizing, without judging it. Just let it move through you. And I have found that when I do that, I just allow myself to have that kind of rough day. Like today, I might go, okay, like I've done everything I can do. I'm well rested. I'm well hydrated. I've eaten. I don't have any, issues going on in my relationships. I don't have any deadlines kind of looming over me. Like I've taken care of everything I can do, and I'm still feeling quite overwhelmed. I'm just going to allow myself to have a day where I take it easy, where I practice some self-care, where I, whatever it is that you want to do without internalizing and judging it. So I give you these little examples as a way to kind of give yourself some visuals and insights into your thoughts and emotions. We cause ourselves a lot of issues here as humans because we tend to internalize everything around us all the time, and a lot of times it really has nothing to do with us. We're just witnessing it. We're just witnessing it. I keep hearing in my mind, not my circus, not my monkey. So that's a good way to end. A good mantra, right? You're just here to witness reality. Create your own reality, right? Based on what feels right for you, what's aligned for you. But all that other muck, all those invasive thoughts, all those heavy emotions sometimes, you are simply witnessing them. Allow them to move through you without holding you hostage. Take good care.